Welcome to Faith in 5, a weekly video devotional designed to discuss practical spiritual concepts in 5 minutes or less. I'm your host, Mark Vandella. So lately I've become aware of a lack of margin in my life. I have been just running from thing to thing to thing, kind of stuck in this like half virtual, half in-person world of finishing one thing virtually, shutting my laptop and running off and making it just in time to the next thing. And I just kind of admitted it. I've come to the realization, and now I'm working on trying to build in some margin. Because I know when I don't have margin, and I'm sure that you felt this too, but when I don't have margin, I'm not at my best. I can usually function at a pretty high level with a lot going on. But there is a peak at some point that starts to fall off, and I start to struggle. And so, one of the things I've realized in my calendar and my planning and my energy levels is that I need margin. But I also think that we need margin when it comes to difficult things. And so we're in our series called Mud Puddles. And in that series, I just want to give us space to think about tough times and to be better equipped to navigate those tough times, to bring our faith into those tough times. And I think in those difficult spaces, we don't like margin. We want answers as fast as possible. We want to understand what's going wrong, and we want to fix it as fast as possible. And so not only in our daily lives do we have to get more comfortable with margin, I think in our difficult spaces, we have to get more comfortable with sitting longer. Last week we talked about physically sitting in a mud puddle, metaphorically, where it's wet and cold. But this week we're going to talk about the times where we have no words. And so in those times where we have no words, that's actually the margin that we need. And I know we're uncomfortable with it. When we have nothing to do, we find something to do. When we have nothing to say, we find something to say. And oftentimes when we just find something to say, it's not the right thing to say. And so what I find, I guess when I'm in a difficult spot, all of us in difficult spots, it seems like we do one of two things. When we're in a difficult spot for ourselves, we often try to stay as busy as we possibly can and eliminate margin so that there isn't any time to think or feel, so that we don't have to deal with the stuff, with the difficult things. It's just keep swimming mentality. And I think that there's value to some of that, but when we're in really difficult spots, it's okay to sit and have nothing to do. Then on the other side, when it's happening to somebody around us and we don't have words, we don't like not having words, right? So we need to be comfortable, or at least get more comfortable with the margin that we can provide. We just say things, like sometimes we say things that are untrue, not like we make empty promises. We use placated phrases that, especially in faith, it's like things like, everything will be okay. God works all things for the better. And while some of that is true long-term in the moment, again, we talked about last week, in a mud puddle, that's not what helps, and that's not exactly what God asks from us. So in our lives, when we have difficulty sitting and being still and finding that margin and being more comfortable with being uncomfortable, is a way that we can really flex our faith, be in this moment with God. And then in our lives around with the people around us, to be able to just be comfortable with silence. Be comfortable at the time where we have no words, no answers, nothing to say and nothing to do. Those are the places, at least in my life, where I have found myself in God's presence. I've been paused long enough that I experience Him, I see Him in new ways, and not leaning on my own understanding and the things that I've had before. When I'm experiencing something that's difficult or that I have never experienced, why would I think that I could just reach down into the way that I've always handled it? And so as I thought about this, I've had a couple of these moments recently where somebody was sharing really difficult stuff, and I resisted the urge to say, hey, everything will be okay, or resisted the urge to bring my story into it and say, hey, yeah, I've been through that, and here's how it'll turn out for you. I think that sometimes we want answers so bad that we do that. And I've been reflecting, I've been trying to search for verses and for scenarios, comforting things in the Bible that would meet me in this space. And the thing that resonated most for me, and I don't know that we often bring this to the table when we don't have any words to describe something, but it's Psalm 46:10, and it's a memory verse. You've probably heard it before. All it says is, "Be still and know that I am God." And I think sometimes we use that as like everything's going to be okay. And in this instance, I don't think that's what how we can like leverage it and hold on to it and sit with it. The fact that just be still, be comfortable with nothing to do, be still in that when you're sitting with somebody who's struggling, allow them to just sit and struggle. I mean, be there for them, don't ignore them, but just be still. And know that God is there with you. God is present with you. Even when you don't feel him, even when you don't want him there, just be still. When we're dealing with difficult things, we have to get more comfortable. And I think our faith asks it of us to be still. Be more comfortable with nothing. Be more comfortable with no words to say. And be still and allow God to work is essentially what that means for me is be still and know that I'm God. Be still and know that I'm here. Be still and let me be with you. So this week in your faith, look for those spaces to just be still and be with God. Whether you're running at a crazy pace and you have no margin, find time to pause, park, and do nothing. And if you find yourself in a space where people who are struggling, people who are having a difficult time, and you want to reach out to them or you want to be present with them, do so in a way that just causes you to show up and be still. Your presence will bring God's presence so that they can know that God is there and God is with them. Thanks for watching Faith in 5. If you like what you see, please like and share. If you're interested in making a donation to our ministry, please click the link below.